What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of Horror Theory. Welcome everyone to Horror Theory, the best horror related podcast here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Yes, guys, Horror Theory is back, and I am so excited to share everything that we've got going on in terms of the future of this show. So, guys, I started Horror Theory with this concept, this idea to talk about specifically horror related games, movies, forms of entertainment. And I started this show, and, I didn't get too far into it until I just stopped making these videos. And, when I took a break from creating content, the entire time I felt that there were three shows that I started on the YouTube channel that I knew I needed to bring back. And the first one was, of course, the Eight Below show, which we announced that. The Eight Below show is now live, and you guys can check out all of my Eight Below related content. That, of course, guys, the Eight Below show is going to be all of our, gaming related content, specific to games that I find interesting, games that we want to see continuations of in the future of games, esports, entertainment. And then secondly, the second show that I brought back and relaunched was the Gears Cast. The Gears Cast, guys, is all about Gears of War. All of you Gears of War fans out there, check out the Gears Cast. That's where you're going to get all of your Gears of War specific content. So even though Gears of War is technically an action shooter, it's also somewhat of a horror game. It is going to be on the Gears Cast. Everything else horror related, you're in the right spot, because Horror Theory is based upon everything in the horror universe, guys. And I started this show because I have a massive passion for the horror genre. Whether we're talking movies, video games, they're my favorite movies. In terms of video games, guys, I've just been playing more and more video games as time has gone. Absolutely love this genre, and I felt that I wanted to bring even more to the space. And so that's why Horror Theory is back, and better than ever. And we're going to be consistently, guys, rotating between those three shows. So check out all of that content here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed, have the notifications turned on so that you guys get notified of every single new video that comes out. There's going to be a ton of new content, show-related content, gameplay, of course, on my Twitch channel, and then, of course, shorts, which is going to be more vlog-related things and things behind the scenes that we're doing and I find interesting. So I'm super excited, guys, about what we've got going on zrotv, and it's because of all of you that we're at this point in time, my new setup and how I have all of that as well. Just really excited, guys, about the future. Horror Theory is back, and it's here to stay. I cannot wait to continue pushing out content for all of you. Let's get into the show. One of my most anticipated games of the future is Quantumare, and I've been making more and more Quantumare content, guys, as we've gone. And of course, they've released the release date story trailer, which was absolutely awesome, giving us a release date. And we also heard, though, some other news that I really want to talk about here. Definitely, the story trailer was awesome, and this is a game, a cosmic horror experience that you can play in first person or third person in terms of, whatever your style you want to do. And I'm definitely going to myself play both. There's no doubt. But one of the key things that the team said over at Team Kill Media, the guys who are making Quantumare, is that there's not going to be any microtransactions. And this is absolutely massive. So let's talk about it. So guys, this is an article that is coming to us from Game Rant, and Lauren Beeler-Beesdad over there. Quantumare, the upcoming cosmic horror game developed by Team Kill, will not have any exclusive content for PlayStation or any other platform. The game will be a complete experience without microtransactions, promising gamers a full game without any extra baggage. the anticipated cosmic horror title Quantumare has some good news for fans. Although there haven't been many updates on Quantumare recently, the team behind the game spoke up to clear the air about certain rumors. Announced back in March of 2020, Quantumare is an upcoming horror title developed by Team Kill, a team of 4 brothers who are working to bring the new indie horror story to life. There's plenty of excitement in Quantumare's cosmic horror elements. According to Team Kill, the game is in its final stages, which has left some eager gamers curious about if there will be any content that is exclusive to specific consoles, especially since the game was initially developed only for PlayStation 5. But the studio has some good news for those who have been following Quantumare's progress. In an official tweet, Quantumare's team assured gamers that there would not be any content that is exclusive to just PlayStation. After it was announced that Quantumare is no longer a PS5 exclusive, many gamers were excited, but this also had some concern about the PS5 version having extra content. So there are no items. This is Quantumare's official Twitter account. There are no items or content exclusive to any platform, no micros, no nothing. Quantumare is a full, complete game, no BS. Team Kill has also made it clear that there won't be any microtransactions, promising gamers a complete game when it is finally available. Although there is the possibility of Quantumare not running as smooth on Xbox, it will at least be a complete game without any extra baggage to deal with whenever it comes to the console. And I want to talk about this because there has been some haters online. And this is how it is with any video game out there. But I want to put something into context for those of you who are talking some trash about Quantumare. First and foremost, this is a team of 4 brothers that put this game together by, at this current juncture in 2023 when it was announced in 2020. So when you really start thinking about that our first announcement was in 2020 and we're in 2023, they had to change to Unreal Engine 5. They changed that out, going through this whole process. 4 brothers put this thing together. It's absolutely unbelievable, unprecedented in my personal opinion. I mean, of course, there have been a number of small teams that put together games, but something of this magnitude that looks stunning in terms of, from a gameplay perspective to really everything about this game. And, obviously there's talks that there's going to be interstellar travel. They stated this on their website when talking about the plot. There's so much about this where it just feels like a AAA game that's going to be coming out, but it's not. It's only 4 brothers making this game, and they have an idea where they're going to make this a long-withstanding, franchise, at least a trilogy up to this point, working, in talks about 4 other games as well. I'm really hoping for all the success in the world for the brothers who are doing this over at Team Kill Media for Quantumare. I think this is going to be a really special experience. And, I really think that anyone who is going to hate on this is just hating on the gaming industry in general, just being negative about the industry as a whole, because if you can't respect the small indie developers, how are you supposed to respect the big dogs out there as well? The big AAA titles, which have a lot of layers, a lot of issues when it comes to, getting the approvals for different patches, when there's bugs and glitches. With this, if there's an issue with Quantumare when it releases, and I'm sure like any game, there's going to be little things that come up, these guys don't have to respond or they don't have to talk to any higher ups at their company. They just work as a team to fix those things immediately, which is going to make it an awesome experience. And so I'm really excited. And number 2, there not being any microtransactions. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, because an indie developer creating a game like this on a fixed budget, they've been given some grants and stuff from Epic Games, but all of that taken into consideration, and when you think of what they've had to go through and put this together in a few years is absolutely unprecedented in my opinion in the horror space, but I could say even gaming in general. This is a very special thing, guys, and we can't take it for granted. We have to come through for Team Kill Media when it comes to supporting this game, supporting the merchandise that they got on their website, which is awesome. There's just a number of ways that we can support the game outside of microtransactions. And obviously, this being something that is planned to be a trilogy, we got to come through for them without question. So what do you guys think about Quantum Error? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited about Quantum Error? Do you have questions about it? What are your thoughts about it up to this current point in time? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Quantum Error content and videos, stay here with zrotv. One of my favorite franchises of all time in the horror genre is Dead Space. And I have pounded this table, guys, over and over again. You guys can check out all of my Dead Space content here on the YouTube channel. But I've stated for years that we needed, as a community, to echo Dead Space 4 into existence. And one of the things that a lot of people told me was that there was never going to be another Dead Space game. There was never going to be another Dead Space 4 that ever came out. And lo and behold, guys, we believed in this franchise. We voiced our opinion to EA. We voiced our opinion on social media, to Reddit, all over the place. And you know, we've done this with a number of games, and this really feels like the first one that's really felt like, wow, our voice was actually heard, because Dead Space, obviously the remake comes out, and it blows the doors off of what the expectations were for, you know, sales and things of that nature. And, you know, this really begs the question now, is Dead Space 4 inevitable at this point in time? Is this is it imminent? Is it coming in the very foreseeable future from the team over at Motive? Because obviously there is a big need and a big want for more Dead Space content. We had the Callisto Protocol, which had a lot of issues, you know, when that game first came out, and there was a lot of excitement that that was going to be the replacement for Dead Space. But then Dead Space's remake comes out, and everybody absolutely loved that game. And so it just shows, it reinvigorated that urge to play Dead Space, one of the greatest horror titles of all time. Now, the question has come up multiple times, whether we're talking on social media, in articles, things of that nature. Is it going to be Dead Space 4, the next thing that Motive works on, or is it going to be Dead Space 2 being a remake? Let's get into it. So guys, this is an article that is coming to us from The Gamer and George Foster. Dead Space's composer wants EA to skip ahead to Dead Space 4. The composer for the Dead Space remake, Trevor Gurecki, thinks that EA should skip ahead to Dead Space 4 instead of remaking the second and third games. Since the successful launch of the Dead Space remake, fans of the series have been wondering what the future holds for Isaac Clarke, and whether we'll be getting similar remakes of Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 in the future. The strong critical response seems to indicate that the series is here to stay, and that we'll see rebuilt versions of the next two games, but the remake's composer has an interesting idea for what EA should do next. As reported by PC Games N, Trevor Gurecki, who composed the Dead Space remake, thinks that EA should skip remaking the second and third games and instead go straight for the fourth title. Gurecki argues that the remake was enough to remind everyone about the series and get them back on board, making more remakes unnecessary. Now, okay, I'm going to say a couple of things here. The first one is, I agree that the next title should be Dead Space 4. Now, I can understand Motive as well as EA going a different direction and saying, you know what, we're going to remake Dead Space 2 and then we're going to remake Dead Space 3 and then we're going to make Dead Space 4 because Dead Space came out, you know, a number of years ago. This has reinvigorated everything. It's brought in new fans into the fan base. So going to Dead Space 4, it's like, wait a minute, there was Dead Space, now there's Dead Space 4. Why would they do this? My thought is, you know, if you brought out obviously that Dead Space remake, you make Dead Space 4, but you also announce another remake, that being Dead Space 2. You bring out Dead Space 2 with Dead Space 4 as a something that is going to be coming in the future for sure. I think that's definitely what the fans would really like. I personally have been saying just make a Dead Space 4, because not that Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 wouldn't do well, but I feel like having them as remakes or even just remastered, I think would be enough for the fan base. And then having a Dead Space 4, a true Dead Space 4, would really blow this thing out of the water for the foreseeable future. Gurecki said, I'm curious to see what Motive and EA will do. If they just skip ahead and go to Dead Space 4, that would make a lot of sense. You do a great remake and then move the franchise in the direction of Dead Space 4. People are now on board, right? Because Dead Space is definitely an old game. Doing a remake makes sense to refresh everyone's minds, but I think pushing it forward to Dead Space 4 would be super fun. Although that's an interesting idea, especially for those who have been waiting to see the conclusion to Isaac Clarke's story, there are some hints towards the future in the Dead Space remake. Spoilers ahead for Dead Space alternate ending, but it shows Isaac having been taken over by the Marker, which seems to be hinting at the events of Dead Space 2. Whatever Motive decides to do next with Dead Space, it seems that we'll be waiting a while to see it, as the studio is currently working on an Iron Man game. So that's the next thing, guys, that kind of throws a wild card into everything. Motive working on Iron Man, which is awesome, but obviously we're gonna have to wait some time to see what the next thing is. My mindset would be, hey, why don't you remaster Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3? Just do a really good remaster on both of those. Release those to everyone, and have, while you're going to do like a Dead Space collection or something, which would have Dead Space 2 and 3 in it, and then obviously do a Dead Space 4, and say you release Dead Space 2 and 3, or the Dead Space collection. Say you release that in 2024 or 2025, and then you release Dead Space 4, say in 2026 or 2027. That's something that would make a lot of sense to me, instead of doing full-blown remakes of Dead Space 2 and 3, unless Motive want to go in a little bit of a different direction and add their own, kind of twist to the Dead Space universe in 2 and 3. That would be really interesting. But what do you guys think? Do you want to see a Dead Space 4 next, or would we rather see a Dead Space 2 remake and a Dead Space 3 remake? Or would you rather see like a Dead Space collection with 2 and 3 just being remastered with the Dead Space 4 announcement? What would you guys want to see? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Dead Space 4 content and videos, stay here with zrotv. A game I've been really excited about is Negative Atmosphere. This is a game, guys, that reminds me of the Callisto Protocol, reminds me of Dead Space in a major way. You can see it took a lot of things from those games, at least in terms of what we've seen so far. But I wanted to talk about, some of the things that we know, and more recently, obviously, we've been waiting for an official announcement on when Negative Atmosphere is going to be releasing to the world. So I wanted to talk about this, guys, some of the things that we may want in the game, and some ways that we want it to be different than those other titles that I just mentioned. Let's talk about it, because this is an article coming to us from The Escapist, and that being from Arthur Damian. So basically, gamers wanting their spooky over-the-shoulder video game fix have not been devoid of options. Obviously, guys, the Callisto Protocol, Dead Space, Resident Evil 4 Remake is a spiritual successor to Dead Space. So although the title has no release date, yet it is already receiving a free standalone prequel called Negative Atmosphere Emergency Room, described by developer Sunscorched Studios as a cinematic medical horror experience. The game will hit PC via Steam in early 2023. Audio logs and spooky atmosphere are very Dead Space-like. What is unique, however, is the gameplay for Negative Atmosphere Emergency Room. Instead of fighting terrifying monsters aboard a desolate ship, you are tasked with performing autopsies on dead crew members. Players will control Samuel Edwards, Chief Medical Officer on the TRH Rusanov. You must try to keep the rest of the crew alive with limited resources while witnessing the horrifying events that lead up to the upcoming negative atmosphere. It's a creative way to set up a survival horror game for sure, which I think is absolutely true as well, guys. I think that negative atmosphere ER is something that is, really special to kind of build that hype and that excitement. This is something where they are, that being the developers over at Sunscorched Studios, are actually using a Patreon to try to really help fund this game. It's a small team working on this, kind of similar to that of like Quantum Air. They're trying to pull this thing off, and obviously I think they're still pretty, they're into development, but it's still, it seems like it could be very well years away. If I had to guess, guys, I would say that we're going to get an official announcement, that being like a release date announcement in 2024, with probably a release potentially in late 2024 or sometime in 2025. That would be my thoughts on an actual release date. Now, in terms of how I want this to be different than Dead Space, as well as a game like the Callisto Protocol, I think it's really important that, the games where horror games that feel very claustrophobic, they're very good in terms of building tension and very unnerving experiences. I think that what I would love to see from Negative Atmosphere is going to be some variety in terms of what the different environments that we're going to be in. Are we just going to be on a ship kind of like Dead Space, or are we going to have some variety here similar to like Quantum Air? The other thing is I really want a huge variety of creatures that we're going to be going up against. And I know, guys, this is a small team working on this, but if you want to, go out with a bang, so to speak, you've got to do some big differences to some of those other games that I mentioned. I think it's very important that the guys over at Sunscorched take their time in terms of creating a lot of variety in terms of weapons, cosmetic items, customizable options, as well as enemies. I think that's very important as well. And differences in terms of, location. When I say that, guys, if, they want, obviously they're going to be on a budget here. So if it's on the ship and just on the ship, I'm fine with that. I just feel, though, that they have to have even more customization options, even more weapons that you can use, that you can craft at your disposal. Having crafting would be really awesome. I just think, guys, that you can see that they're trying to really world build here because Negative Atmosphere ER. This is something that they're doing some world building while we're waiting for Negative Atmosphere to release to the world. And so even though we know a little bit about this game, there's a lot that we still have completely unknown about Negative Atmosphere, and I'm very excited to share with you guys as we get more information along the journey. Let me know, though, guys, what do you think about Negative Atmosphere ER? What do you think about this world that's being built over at Sunscorched Studios? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Negative Atmosphere content and videos, stay here with zrotv. A game I've been really excited about is Fort Solis. This is a title, guys, that is going to rapidly approaching us, and I'm really excited to go over everything that we know so far about this title and some of the new developments that we've been getting about this game and some of the things that we can maybe expect when this game releases to the world. Let's talk about it. So, guys, this is going to be an article that is coming to us from Mark Delaney of GameSpot. There's just something timeless about an abandoned space station hiding secrets. It doesn't seem to matter how many times I've seen it. An abandoned, often eerily sterile space station set as the backdrop to a mystery always pulls me in with ease. Fort Solis, a sci-fi horror adventure game featuring an impressive voice cast, is the latest in a long lineage of stories set in such environments. I'm eager to unravel the mystery set on its Martian base. Despite being billed as an indie game from Studio Fallen Leaf, Fort Solis feels much bigger. This is owed to its reveal at Summer Games Fest 2022. Beautiful visuals in Unreal Engine 5 and a star-studded cast which include Roger Clark and Troy Baker, who portrayed the main characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Last of Us, respectively, as well as the Last Kingdom actress Julia Brown. Now, That audio visual experience is important for a game like this, which is billed as Dead Space meets Duncan Jones's Moon. Atmosphere is key on an unnervingly tranquil fort far from Earth, and Fort Solis looks to seriously deliver in that regard. Combining its audio-visual feats with its over-the-shoulder presentation, it would be easy to mistake it for the next big PlayStation exclusive. Now, what I will say, guys, is yes, it definitely has Dead Space vibes to it. I've kind of brought that expectation down a little bit. And the reason being is because when we first got the initial trailer, the announcement trailer at Summer Games Fest, it really gave everyone, for sure, those vibes of Dead Space and the Callisto Protocol. But after they've been showing more and more game footage and more screenshots to, like I said, just footage in general, it's seeming more of a game where it's kind of a slow building, slow burn type of style game in terms of it takes time to build. You're more so than anything, it's somewhat of a mystery. You're exploring a number of different places, and as you're unveiling things and figuring out different clues as you're going throughout the game, it starts getting scarier and scarier. And not that that's a bad thing, because actually it could be something that's super effective. Seems like there's going to be a lot more exploration in this than, say, a game like Dead Space or the Callisto Protocol, where it's a little bit more linear. This feels like more open, not maybe like a full open world or something, but it just feels more open after seeing what's more recently come out about the game. So the game slow crawls through its opening hour, giving players the freedom to explore each room across multiple buildings, poring over notes, videos, and personal computers in a style similar to a Quantic Dream or Telltale game. Just as the setting is so familiar to horror or sci-fi fans, these very video gamey interactions are nothing new, but the sense of place is strong, and I find myself not wanting to miss a single item that might build out more of the world. A cold stillness envelops the place, only interrupted by robotic voices around the facility or the early wisecracks of Leary and his colleague Jessica Appleton via walkie-talkie. Leary's walking piece is almost comically slow, to the extent that I expect some players to complain of a lack of sprint, or at least a jog button. It feels as though the team wants to ensure the story unfolds at its intended and cinematic pace, so players are prevented from speed running through the corridors and skipping over dialogue in a way that doesn't mesh with the tale being told. Instead, they'll need to find patience as the leisurely strolling protagonist cuts across the red planet. So what I'll say about that, guys, is I got that vibe for sure as we've seen more developments in terms of Fort Solis. I am really excited about this, and what is really intriguing about it, I will say that I'm not as excited for this game as I used to be when the game was first announced, just because I was thinking that, hey, the more games like Dead Space, the better. What I will say, though, is I am excited for a game like this to exist, where it's a little bit more slower paced, takes some time to build, more cinematic. I'm all for it. Even though it's not as high on my anticipation list, because it's more exploration instead of like true horror from the very get-go. This could be one of those titles that slow burns, and as you're going through it, it gets scarier, and as we get to the very end, it's absolutely terrifying and leaves us on a huge cliffhanger for Fort Solis 2 or something of that nature. Maybe they'll wrap this up where it's just a one-hit wonder kind of thing. But I have a feeling, based on what I've seen with how great the graphics are, this is an idea that they want to turn into a long-withstanding franchise. This wildly slow start starts to pay off, though, as its real purpose soon becomes obvious. As Leary and Appleton chit-chat during his sweep of the area, their jokes and time-wasting soon turn to genuine concern. Leary comes upon blood trails, sabotage doors, and more I won't spoil here. The game's first hour, snail-paced as it is, suddenly breaks away in an instant and reveals a darker, more frantic reality. Like a supercar going 0 to 60, Leary discovers he's not alone at all. The most intriguing part of all this is how, after the first chapter, I have no real idea whether this threat is supernatural, human, or something else. Is it poisonous flora, hostile aliens, shady capitalists, with only a few minor hints of what's to come, none of which I feel I should say here. My mind is racing with the possibilities. It feels like it could go in many directions. Above the so far stellar performances and gorgeous visuals, it's this element that has me most captivated. What exactly is on Fort Solis? The creepily calm space station setting has been done more times than one can easily keep track of, but taking that foundation and building something special on top of it allows the likes of Moon, Alien, and 2001: A Space Odyssey to coexist as some of the setting's greatest accomplishments. I don't know what secrets are to be found on Fort Solis, but my hope is they will feel fresh following so many similar setups, and in any case, I can't wait to turn over every stone and find out for myself what secrets lay buried on Mars. And guys, I'm very excited to see what's buried on Mars as well. I'm really excited to see where they go with this. It's not going to be very long until we get our hands on it. It comes out August 22nd. Let me know though, guys, what do you all think about Fort Solis up to this point in time? Are you excited about it? What are your thoughts? Are you buying it day one? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more Fort Solis content and videos, stay here with zrotv. Probably one of the most gruesome, gory, bloody video games I have ever seen, guys, is a game that's up and coming from a new studio called Team Cloud, and the game being called Ill. And just by watching what we've seen so far, it does make your stomach queasy just by watching this up to this point in time. That being said, I want to talk about the things that we know at this current point in time about Ill. When can we maybe see this game come out? When are we going to hear more information? Let's get into it. So guys, this is an article coming to us from Jason Hahn of Scream Rant. The future game show ended with a grotesque gameplay trailer for Ill, a next-gen FPS where players will face mutated body horror monstrosities. The grotesque creatures of the survival horror shooter Ill made a terrifying impression of the end of the future game show livestream. Ill, in development by the new studio Team Cloud, is built with Unreal Engine 5. The engine gives the monsters, locations, and combat mechanics an eerily realistic atmosphere perfect for fans of fast-paced horror games like Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead. Throughout the Summer Games Fest, there have been a number of exciting announcements surrounding upcoming horror games and games that are already out now, guys, like the Callisto Protocol, Resident Evil 4's remake. Additionally, a number of titles with space and science fiction settings have been revealed for the upcoming year, giving fans of the horror genre plenty to look forward to outside of popular AAA titles. The intense body horror shooter Ill has revealed a closer look at its nightmare-inducing monsters in a short gameplay video. As reported by Games Radar, Ill's teaser shows haunting hallways filled with wet audio as the player stalks the game's decaying environments. Ammo will be scarce while fans avoid or battle terrifying creatures. Ill's designs seem heavily inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing, which many call the greatest horror movie of all time. Release date for Ill is currently unknown, but people anxious to play the game can check out on the developments by looking at Team Cloud's Patreon page. So first and foremost, this game does give me John Carpenter's The Thing vibes in a massive way, guys. Also, the comparisons to like Left 4 Dead, it definitely feels like a pretty fast-paced shooter game where you're going to have to be on your toes consistently with these creatures. Looks like there's going to be a lot of variety in here, and I'm really interested to see not only just to shoot a bunch of monsters, but also to kind of see what the story is. Like, where are they trying to go with this? Is this going to be a game where, there's going to be, single player story and then like co-op modes where you go up against waves and waves of enemies, similar to that of like a Gears of War, or even like a Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood kind of esque style? That would be really interesting as well. Ill takes advantage of the powerful Unreal Engine 5 as seen in the hyper-realistic models and environments. The new game engine is helping developers build convincing fantasy worlds that blur the line between fiction and reality. One fan created a trailer for 2014's beloved survival horror game Alien Isolation on Unreal Engine 5, demonstrating how powerful the game-making tool can be. Team Cloud has previously revealed impressive concept art and environmental footage for Ill, but the new trailer demonstrates just how far Unreal Engine 5 can take the elements of horror titles. While there are a number of interesting horror games currently in the works, the truly terrifying premise and gory graphics of Ill could help the upcoming title stand out against other options. Fans of titles like Outlast, Back 4 Blood, and Left 4 Dead may find the dark hallways and twisted monsters of Ill a great reason to keep an eye on the game's development. What I will say, guys, about that is, most likely this game is not going to be coming out probably in 2023. Probably may hear something in 2024. Hopefully, maybe it'll be released late 2024, maybe like early 2025 release. That would be really awesome. I mean, I really want Team Clout to really take their time with this title, make it as amazing as possible, guys. Take your time, especially because this is the first time game for a new studio. You got to take your time, make sure it's all, polished, ready to roll, and we can jump into this thing, and it could very well be the next Back 4 Blood, the very next, the new Left 4 Dead, the next Outlast. How crazy would that be if Ill ended up becoming something really special in the future? But let me know, guys, what do you guys think about Ill? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Ill content and videos, stay here with zrotv. One of my most anticipated games in general of the future is Routine. Guys, this horror game, I don't even know what it is that it grabbed me so quickly when I saw the initial reveal trailer for this title. And it's been, in the making for a very long time. And I am really, really excited for this game to come out. It sounds like it's going to be coming out day one on Xbox Game Pass, which is awesome. A lot of things that we know, but a lot of things that we don't know. I would say more things that we don't know at this point about this game, but I wanted to talk about the things that we know and the things that we want out of this title. And as we get more and more information, I'm definitely going to be keeping you guys up to speed, so stay here with zrotv. But with that being said, let's talk about Routine. In an article, guys, coming to us from Joshua Robertson of The Gamer, another spooky space game has been announced. Horror fans are eating good over the next couple of years as Routine has been re-revealed at the Summer's Games Fest. For those that don't know, Routine was announced over a decade ago, but now we have a new trailer, and the news that the game is coming in 2023 will be published by Raw Fury and will feature music by legendary composer Mick Gordon, whose work can be heard in iconic franchises such as Doom and Wolfenstein. We don't know much about the story, but the game's trailer showed us a spooky atmospheric space station full of killer robots. The player takes out some kind of radiation weapon and uses it on a robot in the distance. The player is then turned around by a robot sneaking up behind them, revealing a lovely metallic grin full of teeth. We didn't get a specific release date for the game, but we know it'll be dropping at some point, which they're saying in 2023, guys, which I'm definitely hoping we get it here in 2023. I'll keep you guys posted on that for sure as we get more information. Where we're also given the info that the game will launch on PC via Steam, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, with no mention of if the game is also coming to PlayStation systems. It also seems like Routine will launch on Xbox Game Pass on day one, so there's something for Game Pass fans looking for a bit of horror to get excited for. And then there seems to be a lot for spooky atmospheric horror games set in space these days, as both, of course, we have the Dead Space remake, we had the Callisto Protocol, we're talking about like Fort Solis, we're talking about Negative Atmosphere. I mean, the list goes on, guys, which I'm totally cool with. I mean, the more space games that are like horror-esque like this, I'm all for it, guys, because ever since Dead Space, and it's been so long waiting for kind of like a spiritual successor to Dead Space, I'm all for multiple different companies all at once to be making games in Dead Space's honor, so to speak. But with that being said, guys, the re-reveal game trailer, something special about this that it's getting me very, very excited about this game. I'm really hoping they can stick to 2023. And as we get more information, I will be sure to keep you guys all up to speed. Let me know what you guys think, though, about routine in the comment section down below. What are some things that you want? You know, some things that I would like to see, guys, for sure, is differences as well as maybe some similarities to Dead Space, as well as like the Callisto Protocol. I want to see, I mean, it seems like we've got like robots on this one, which is really cool. And it seems like, you know, there's a lot of moments where, you know, there's going to be, you know, a lot of jump scares, things of that nature. And I'm all for it. I think that's going to be awesome. Looks like it's going to be more first person, potentially with like third person elements to it, kind of like Quantum Error. Maybe you can play third person and first person. That'll be interesting. But I would love to see, and I hope there's a full-blown story for this that could turn into a long-withstanding franchise in the future. I would love to see this be like the next horror title that turns into something really, really special in the future. But like I said, guys, let me know what you guys think about routine in the comment section down below, what we've seen so far. Let me know. And for more routine, keep it right here with zrotv. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of Horror Theory. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, just keep grinding. And as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.